Hello and welcome to this week's vlog. For those of you who are new to the channel, this boat is Lady Kathleen, my name is Tom, and this is A Boat on the Broads. In this week's vlog, I want to go through why I bought this boat, why I got interested in boating, and how it helps me as a person to improve myself. In my mid-30s, me and my partner, we were having a chat, and she said, "Oh, I think you might be autistic." She'd worked with autistic people before and thought off the cuff that it would be interesting for me to take an autism test. I laughed it off and she went to bed. And then I went and took an autism test. And this was an online one. There's many online tests you can take that are very similar to the real thing. And my results came back very high, which was a bit of a shock to me. I'd never considered myself different to anyone else. I never considered myself special or, remotely odd. But all the same, I went upstairs and told her the results, and she sort of chuckled about it and said, "What are you going to do?" And of course, just like earlier, I said, "Nothing. It doesn't make a shred of difference because I've got this far through my life, so what difference does it make?" And then a few weeks later, I booked myself a proper autism and Asperger's test. So after a few sessions with the doctor who was analysing my attributes, I came back for the results session and she said, "You're very autistic from an Aspergic point of view and from a highly functioning autism point of view. More so than a lot of people I've seen, but you seem to have got this far through your life, so is there anything that I can do for you?" And I said, "No, not really, because, I have got this far through life, I've got a career, I've got a job, I'm happy doing what I'm doing." At that time I had one kid, now I've got two. So there wasn't a great deal of point of me going to like autism groups or self-help stuff. And so I went away and things got a bit weird for a while whilst me and the missus adjusted to life, to the change of life. All in all, not a great deal changed, which was fine. During this period, all through this period, I have been self-employed and I seem to fare much better being self-employed. I work from home, I work from a shared office, I work now from a boat. But it was something that deep down felt like it was the right thing to do, because in offices, I never got a great deal done. I made progress, but I could always, my brain would always tune into everyone else's conversations, everything that was going on. It was actually quite, not stressful, but hard work. My brain just listening to every conversation that's going on. Just the same as if I'm sat in a restaurant now, I'll end up listening to 3 different tables around me. I'm not being nosy, it's just what my brain does. Being self-employed gives me the opportunity to pick my hours or pick what I do. And so my current role is a data scientist and software developer for NASA JPL, who are based over in California, which from a time difference perspective is 9 hours. And this works really well because I've always been a night owl. I've always been up late at night, working on stuff. So a while ago, it crossed my mind, why don't I just start working later in the day and then have my evenings effectively in the morning? Because I would be at work, I'd be working on something anyway in the evening. So instead of sitting in front of a computer for, 18 hours a day, why not use that time in the morning to do something different? So I go out and play golf. And now, after a while, I was like, I really want a boat because I've been on a few boating holidays. They're really relaxing. It gets me out into the fresh air. And so buying a boat or part owning a boat or doing something with boats felt like a good way to learn something new, which again is an autistic trait that we'll get onto, but also to allow me to get out into some fresh air and just experience some blue sky and get some vitamin D, which will also help my peace of mind. So what are some of the autistic traits that you may see in an autistic person like myself? So I don't know. I was going to say I don't cope well in social situations. That is not entirely true. If I am with a group of people who I've known for a while, then socializing isn't really a big deal. alcohol helps, and not in a, I need to drink myself under a table, but, having a couple of drinks to sort of break the ice, sort of as an autistic person, relaxes me. But that's not a great way of coping. And so being in social situations can be an anxious experience. If I don't know the people, like business networking, I know they're not out there to do me harm, but I really struggle with that aspect of work life, is, meeting new people. On this boat, for example, I've got to ring an electrical engineer to come and have a look at the electrics because there's a few issues. He doesn't have a website or an email address, and I have put off ringing him for the last 3 weeks because I don't know what's going to happen on that call, and so I just haven't rung him. And it's stuff like that, it drives anxiety, which can manifest itself in different ways. For me, quite often my face flares up, and I get a lot of dry skin and flaky skin, like literally all over my face. I keep my hair short because it affects my scalp as well. And so, cutting my hair and keeping my face nicely moisturized is something that actually, not from a vanity perspective, but from a anxiety perspective, helps an awful lot. Another thing that autistic people like is routine and repetitive behaviors. And I'm no different. I get stressed out if the routine changes, or if something has been planned and doesn't happen or gets changed slightly. My missus always turns up late because we've got kids and kids tend to run late. If she's a few minutes late, it starts getting stressful. It sounds like it's not a big deal. It shouldn't be a big deal. If someone turns up 5 minutes late, it is not a big deal, but that's not quite how my brain is wired. And as you can tell by owning a boat, the other thing that is quite important to autistic people is having highly focused hobbies. And this isn't for everybody, but when I was a kid, I was very interested in computers. That's how I got into computing. I had computers at home, I hacked around on stuff, I wanted to learn. Then, having gone through that, I've done music, really like music because it gave me something to focus on. And now I've ended up doing boats. And I tell you what, it's fantastic because I'm on a boat, which gives me freedom to be outside and do my own thing on my own terms, on my own schedule, but it also gives me something to learn. And same with making YouTube videos, and the same with being on a boat. It's stuff to learn, it's stuff to do, it's new skills and hobbies to have. And it makes the missus chuckle / sigh a lot. But it's true, being an autistic person, having hobbies and being able to do them in a highly focused manner, doing stuff a bit doesn't really interest me. I want to be able to do it all. Not quite it all. I want to be able to learn everything there is to know about this boat. I want to know everything there is to know about various aspects of computing. I want to know the ins and outs of how YouTube works so that I can make better videos. I've done so much work in research in videography. Not that I'm going to suddenly magically become the world's most amazing YouTuber, but because it gives me something to learn, something to think about whilst I'm messing around doing other stuff. Another thing that I don't have really is a mind's eye. And so I speak to my partner about this and she says, "Oh, can you not imagine so-and-so X, Y, and Z?" And I'm like, "No." And she says, "Well, that's weird because if I shut my eyes, I can imagine pink elephants." And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So as an Asperger person, I don't really do very well with imagination. I mean, for my work, I have to build data platforms. And so that takes a bit of foresight and planning. So from a logic perspective, I can put things together and build out like a data platform and what have you, and I can plan it ahead of time. But I can't imagine me in a scene or people's faces. A few weeks ago, Katie went, "Can you imagine what Harriet's hair looked like?" And I was like, nope. So I can't imagine what my daughter's hair looks like, which is weird because I saw her about 4 hours ago. So, it's just one of those things. And it's something that as an autistic person I have to deal with, but it doesn't affect me too much. Another issue that we have as autistic people is sensory overload, and this goes back to working in an office and why I'm better working out here, where there is literally no one on this mooring today and probably won't be for the next 4 months because it's winter. It gives me the opportunity to come and not get disturbed by people. Being in an office is great. I like interacting with my colleagues. I like going to California, who wouldn't? But I like going and interacting with the people that I work with on a face-to-face basis. But I wholeheartedly admit, if you put me in an office and told me that that's where I was working for the next, 200 days of the year, I wouldn't be very good because, well, I would be if I could put headphones on, and that's the caveat to all of this. If I sit there in an office and put cans on, put some music in, or even sometimes noise-cancelling headphones, I'll just switch on the noise-cancelling so I can barely hear anything that's going on outside, and then just work in peace and quiet. Same with earplugs, they do the same job. And I admit to my colleagues it's not very sociable, but there's just periods of the day where I actually have to get some work done. But if I worked in an office full time, I would have to wear earphones basically full time because it's the only way that I don't then listen to everyone else's conversation. And like I said, it's not being nosy, it's just my brain soaking in information and then processing it as if someone was talking to me. I can hear all these conversations. It's like, well, they must be talking to me because I can hear it. Of course they're not. But, So also, don't say secret things around me. I remember I was in a hotel once in California, and the bar staff were all having a bit of a disagreement, and they thought that no one else in the bar could hear. And I was sat basically the other side of the bar, tables away, and I could hear everything that they were saying. They weren't happy with each other. And then a few minutes later, the bartender came over and she asked if I wanted another drink. And I was like, yes, I will, please. You should also watch what you're saying because I can hear everything because I'm autistic and it makes it really easy for me to understand. To which she apologized. Didn't bother me. It was just, if you're trying to whisper, you need to whisper even quieter. So there we go. That's sort of basically it. And so I bought this boat because it allows me the freedom, it allows me to learn, it allows me to get out here in the countryside and learn about the countryside and learn about boats and learn about the Norfolk Broads and all that stuff as a hobby. But it also gives me a floating office where I can get away from people, I can sit in silence, I can do my thing. I've had heating installed, which is coming in a vlog in a couple of weeks. The heating means that I can work out on a mooring all day without getting plugged into electricity. And so it is ideal for me. It's not ideal for everyone. I fully appreciate that, but it works for me. So I hope you've liked this vlog. I hope it's been interesting for you. If you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button down below. YouTube will do its best to notify you whenever I release a new vlog, which is about every 2 weeks. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, give it a thumbs down. Let me know in the comments if you liked it, didn't like it, what you didn't like about it, what I could do better. This is a learning curve for me. So please let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you next time.